You can go ahead when you have a chance to open the screen up.
Cool.
Are we live streaming again?
Yep, we're back.
Okay, so back again.
Do you know how to change the sleep?
I don't know how to change it. No.
Oh, wow.
I got it. Rid of it. So basically what we did was we went over to onlinejobs.com. This is the cheapest place to get your VAs if you don't already know. And usually the most reliable in the Philippines. So when you go on here, it's $100 a month to get started. You can buy it and then cancel your subscription, but either way you're going to be paying anywhere from like 70 to 100 bucks. Might as well get the full time out of it, so when you go to get one VA, think of every other VA you could possibly need and just knock out all the interviews in 1 month.
Yeah.
So what we did was we came on here and we said we wanted a video editor. Now because we don't have the subscription anymore, we can't pull it up exactly. But we laid out an entire application, and one key thing that we put on the application at the bottom was we didn't want to keep the hiring process on here. We wanted it to be managed on our terms. So what we did was we said at the bottom, we said send me an email with your online jobs link and send me an email directly titled in the subject line video editor wizard. So if you go ahead and you go to the Gmail up here.
What if they didn't do that? Like,
They didn't do that. I don't want you.
Okay.
You couldn't follow directions on the first step. So we had it where the subject line was advanced editor application. So we got all these different ones with advanced editor applications coming in. If someone spelled something that was different, something like video editor graphic designer, they didn't get in. They couldn't follow this first direction I had. There was also a second direction that was at the end of the application. We'll go into in a second. So what happens when these guys email us? Well, we had, as you can see here, a lot, and this is just a couple. I mean, there was like at least probably anywhere between 60 to 90 VA applications. It was pretty annoying. So what we did was we made an automatic form response, which I can show you guys how to after. And what that meant was that when at any time someone with the term advanced editor application came in, the automatic response would kick in and say, hey, great job, you followed the first direction successfully. What we need for you to do now is we need you to complete this form within the next 24 hours. So this meant that we now took the hiring process completely off of online jobs, and it's now in our hands. We could dictate what questions we wanted, we could dictate the entire stream of the application. So if you go to the top here, do what? Great job, Andrew. Yep. Right up here, right up here. There you go. So if you go right up here, so basically we had the first initial job application. Now, this one was for an SEO position because we wanted SEO at the time. We don't have the video editor anymore, but you get the same idea. So if you start scrolling through it, you'll see the email address, basic questions, email, yada yada. We put our expectations a little bit, and this is where we start to test them. So with the SEO WordPress guide, we said we have 2 sites, which ones were built with WordPress, which ones were built custom. Test out their knowledge and their actual skills on what mainly if they kind of knew their shit. We already knew the answers to these questions. I had my on-site guy tell me everything around the sites. We went down a little bit more and we gave them a little bit of room for expectations. So we say, what would you do better? What could have been done better? What could you do with it? Some people would say, oh, well, I would put this site as SSL certificates and I would have deep links on there. Other people would say things like, I would change the logo to blue.
Right.
So we found people that were more advanced already in the first screening process. And we kept going through. Cool. Here was a key question right here. How old are you? See, online jobs tells us how old they are, and to be frank, I could give less of a shit of how old anyone is. At the end of the job application, because our page was so long, it said specifically at the bottom, it said, in the application, write your age as 42. Mm-hmm. Out of 70 applications, only 30 of them wrote 42.
Boom!
So we've already now killed another 40 out of the interview process.
So the trick question was at the bottom of the application.
At the bottom, you had to read the full application. Gotcha. Because see, a lot of times what these VAs will do is they'll just see video editor and they'll be like, paste, paste, paste. Or they'll just skip right to the bottom. And I don't have time for people that aren't serious about my job. I need people that are into it and they understand exactly what I need. Next things we had were just simple courtesy tests. So we said, download Loom, use Loom to record a speed test file. Then we'd have them input the results of the speed test file. So great, they installed software on behalf, they followed directions, and now we know how fast their internet is. A lot of people didn't have internet that was faster than like 7 or 8 megabits a second, which we just can't work with, especially when we're sending large video editing files. Mm-hmm. You go to the bottom here, on the SEO one.
I really like this, to be honest. This is like top quality shit.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Thank you. So at the bottom here, this was for the SEO. We had just a WordPress site, but on the video editor side, we said, of course, we said, show me a couple of your videos, but don't get deterred. See, a lot of video editors get scared when people say, I want a portfolio, because they're like, oh, what if my thing's not good enough? Oh, it's not what you're looking for. I specifically said in the description, I said, I'm not looking for anything crazy. I just want to see where you're at.
Oh, your mom says, I love you. Just so you know. I see you, boy. I need to get you when you get home, LOL.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Just so you know.
You're
It's
the
in the
best.
video.
I got it.
And live stream, right?
Yep.
You are brilliant.
Moving on. So they answered the thing, and basically what would then happen is once they got a submission, we then entered them as follow-up drips. So then what would happen is after they filled out the form, it would say, thank you so much. I'm going to take 24 hours to review these results. If everything looks good, I now had out of the 30 we had left, I said, okay, great. I know out of the 30 pretty much did well. Let's see the second part. None of this really stood out because this isn't qualifying. This is just the top of the funnel. So then we sent up a second, like we said, great, you passed, you did it. You got to the second stage of the application. Awesome. So then we sent them a second Google form right up here at the top.
You quickly chat. I wasn't getting on again.
I did. I was like, no. So now so this is the actual video editor application phase 2. So again, we said we're not looking for perfection, but we need to have a good idea of creative view when you're using Premiere. Inspire me, impress me. We keep going down, asking just basic questions. Are you able to work 30 hours a week? Can you use Telegram? Skype questions and whatnot. This one was pretty cool. This is pretty common, but we still did it anyways. We said, what is your weekly requirement for hours, and what's your salary requirement? Some people wanted less salary but wanted more hours. Some people wanted more hours but less salary. So we can kind of get a little bit of a better base. We keep going down here a little bit more. What was really the most important one was he said this. We said, here's a video. We know that we're not paying you for this. We know there's no guarantee you're going to get a job for this. But what we're going to do is we're going to show you, here's me. Here's a video describing me. And I had a fun little video that says like, hey, I'm Branden. Here's what I do. And then I had my personal editor, my professional one at the time, come in and say, hey guys, this is Branden's editor. I'm going to show you how we edit his videos. There are so many people that would be deterred by something like this and saying, I don't know how to edit his videos, I don't want this. Instead, we had a guy come in and say, look, this is how he wants them edited, follow it up like this. Even if you don't know how to make good videos, we've just given you a step-by-step instruction manual. I don't care how good people were at editing videos. I knew that I'm paying less, so I'm assuming that I'm going to get less quality work to begin with. But if they can follow directions well, they're going to be the best employees ever. So we kept going down, and then this was the sample footage for them to edit with. And at the end, we said, great, all you have to do is title the video, your name blank, edit this form, and it's only going to be 1 minute and 30 seconds. And we can go over into the drive file. And you can go right here to job application. Double click. Yeah, it's 2-click. And then submit video. So out of the 30, we had in total maybe like 12 here or so. Yeah, maybe like 13 or 14. So even with the 30 people that passed to the second stage, we had another 3 people that had to go ahead and had to edit the video themselves. I also wanted them to do something. I wanted them to be comfortable with me. So we asked them to record a 1-minute video of themselves, introducing me. I wasn't asking about what they did or where they went to college. I just asked them about what they like to do, tell me about themselves. This made a lot more people feel comfortable and said, look, we're gonna have to see each other face to face. So we saw the videos here, and then we had the second follow-up, which were all emailed to me directly. So we were able to see all the videos now. Everything looks good. And out of those, about 16, let's just say 15 videos here, only 3 I thought had the qualities or capabilities to actually meet what I needed done. I noticed a lot of them didn't edit in Premiere. They actually edited in Sony Vegas or like even Windows Movie Maker. So having them edit the footage and doing them what I needed to do, seeing that they weren't able to do just follow the simple steps, showed that, look, they were trying, but they just couldn't do it. We don't have time to waste for that. So we had only 3.
Can we watch an example?
Yeah, so these were the examples of just the intro, guys. Let's go back to job applications real quick. Our responses.
Yeah.
Let's
Let
go
it toast.
one more. No, I'm pretty sure it's this one is where you see the videos.
Stop laughing, guys.
It's in the file there. No, this is a funny webinar. Everybody loved it.
Is this live in your group?
I guess not this one.
Laughing makes it easy.
Try. No. Okay. Let me see if I can pull one up real quick.
No worries.
So if I'm understanding correctly, you went to a Philippines job site, said, hey, looking for video editors. If you're interested, go here. The go here was actually Google Forms that instructed them to do all the fun stuff.
Instructed them to do everything straight up from there. Unfortunately, I guess I don't have any of the, I guess Google Forms deleted the video because they ran out of drive space. But we had it where we could see a couple good ones, see a lot of bad ones. We understood which ones were perfect, and we knew that we had them fill out the requirements. Each time I had like a little step that I needed them to follow, and if they couldn't, a lot of them could follow the instructions the first time, but they couldn't follow instructions the second or third time.
Yeah.
And I needed people that could follow instructions all the way through. That's kind of what the whole purpose of this funnel was.
That's awesome.
So then, at the last part, what we had was after we got through the second job application, this one right up here, we had it where we had 3 guys in total. We had Dale, Nick, and Ibu, and they all wanted to talk to me. So we got on a Skype call. Not a phone call or anything else. We want to get on a video call. We want them to be comfortable with us. We want them to see us, right? And we would talk a little bit about what their hobbies were, what their enjoyment were. Many people will approach the interview thinking, okay, I gotta dress up all nice and everything. I just text them beforehand. This is a casual thing. Relax. We're just having a conversation. After I would get this conversation, I'd get to know them better. I wasn't asking them anything about how they could work or anything. This was, again, just an introduction from me to them. I'd sit down, I'd take some notes after the 3, and the next day I'd say, okay, I'm gonna call you all up, and I'm going to ask the one. By this point, I would know which ones I want to work with. So out of these 3, I knew the one I want to work with. His name was Dale. So I called Dale up, and we went back and forth. And we said, okay, I understand what's your software requirements. Where is this? I'm not going to ask you about your pay. I want to ask you one very core question, and I'm going to write this on the board because I want this whole video editor thing to go away. This question is the question that secured my VAs from being stolen by competitors. This is the question that made my VAs stick with me when I asked them to stay after hours, when I asked them to redo videos 7 times over, when I asked them to work weeks without being paid. This question made them stay. Forgive me in advance. What's your dream?
Oh, nice.
What's your dream? See, VAs are kind of like an abused girlfriend, right? They are so used to people coming on. They know that they work poor. They understand that. They're not there to try to make anything out of their lives. They're just there to make money and make something. But that's what we see them as. VAs are used to people coming on and saying, I want to abuse you because you work cheap, and I'm going to use you for 7 months. And then if you try to get an upgrade in pay, or you try to, or maybe like the quality goes off, I'm going to drop you. I'm going to fire you. I'll find someone cheaper because your tasks are reproducible.
Right.
They're so used to this, they have a defense grid up. You know, they're just used to being abused. So the first question you ask them is you say, what is your dream? In this case, Dale's dream was said, man, I just want to leave the Philippines. Just want to leave the Philippines. Doesn't matter where, I just want to leave the Philippines. So I said, awesome. What would you do if I said I can make that happen for you? Oh man, I would work so hard, I would grind, I would do anything you need me to. A trip out of the Philippines to Hong Kong or Singapore, which is in the neighboring areas, is going to cost maybe like $300 to get a house for the weekends, another like $100. So all in all, it's like $500 investment to get someone out of the Philippines. So I said, Dale, what if I told you that 1 year from now, you could spend a month in Bali, partying, going on jet skis, mountain climbing? He was like, man, that would be the best month of my life. Anything I could do, amazing.
Yeah.
I said, great, so here's what we're gonna do. I need you to edit videos like this. I know you can't yet. We're gonna work on the training side of it, that's fine. If you can meet X amount of hours a week, if you can produce videos at X amount of times per week, if you can show me that you continuously strive to improve your editing, if you show me that you can continuously learn and put that extra time in to grow, I will give you this house in Bali.
Right.
He was beyond excited, so we began work immediately. So the first video that we made, can you actually go to my YouTube channel real quick, if possible?
Is it not up?
It's not up now, you're gonna have to pull it up.
I'm always concerned about typing you. Oh, never mind.
You're going to some weird sites there.
no, it's fantastic.
Type on Iconic Becker. Great. And go ahead and click I made a six-figure income while traveling the world living my dream. This was the first, or one of the first videos that Dale ever edited. We've been giving him practice models beforehand all the time, and basically, you can see it's kind of rough. The visuals are kind of corny, kind of cheesy. The color correction is completely off. As you progress throughout the video, that whole transition was late. I think this could have been sped up. There was a lot of things that were wrong with it.
What?
So what did we do? Well, basically, every time we had a video come in, we would make a Loom file, and we would say, all right, Dale, I'm going to watch this video with you, and every time there's something wrong, I'm going to correct it. We do this over and over and over and over again for almost 2 months straight of saying, look, you're doing okay here, but this needs to be improved. This needs to be fixed. Eventually, I started getting to a point where he wouldn't realize some things, so I would actually edit the videos myself, and I would give him the project file, and I'd say, I want you to take a look at how I did it, and now I'm going to pay you to do it exactly how I did it. And if he didn't get it right the first time, I would still pay him to do it again the second time. No matter how many times he fucked up, I would still ask him to fix it, and I would show him what's wrong. And a lot of people in the VA industry will just give up.
Yep.
Right? I'd always cheer him on when he did bad, yada, yada, yada. And the cool thing that we did was at the end of every day, I would ask him, what did you do today? What did you learn today? And what can I do better as an employer? And every day I got a different answer. Something that he didn't understand, something that he didn't grow. And when you ask your VAs, what are you doing wrong? They'll give you the answer, just like customer research. And you'll understand so many things that you might have been missing. We're at a point now where, let me pull this back up. Here we are. Only, I believe, so again, 2 months we were doing that. And after about 3 months in total, we are at a point now where, let's see. Let's go with, let's just go with this one. Actually, let's go right here. So after only 3 months, we got to a point where now I don't have to give Dale any updates. When I make a video, he understands when to cut in. He puts text on the video. Everything looks clean, it looks pretty, and he cuts out over 40% of the raw footage. Things that I had to train him saying, hey, cut this, yada, yada, yada. So you've seen that in only 3 months we were able to take an editor from complete trash to now he's an operating working machine. But the next question is how do you manage that? How do we make this whole system work so elegantly? Right now we're recording roughly about, I'd say, 15 hours worth of footage. And after it's done, it's going to go into a drive file, and that's it. That's the last piece of work I'm going to do. And I have full faith that when I give it to my editors, they're going to know exactly what pieces to edit out and what to work on. So how did we get to that? Well, if you go back over to Chrome on the sidebar, right here, there you go. So what we do is you go right up here. We scaled our VAs out, so we have 11 VAs now. And I'll get into what we do with all 11 VAs right after this. But this is kind of how a system that works for having multiple VAs. Each product tab is a different project. Nicola's project, Christian's project, graphic design project. This is our graphic design VA handles this. If you look, we have this tied in with another software called Hubstaff, and I'll get into that in a second. Each of these VAs went down a different training process, similar to Dale, but in their own way. They'd be learning copy, and they don't speak English very well, so we correct them on small grammatical terms. They didn't understand funnels. Links were broken, so we go ahead and we use Loom files and say, hey, this isn't working, we're gonna do this. A lot of times, even though Loom files might not have worked, so we'll hop on Zoom files with him directly, and we'll say, hey, this is where you can go wrong, let them ask questions, open that line of communication. If you look right here, go ahead and click this up. We now have these VAs so autonomous that all we have to do is we have to give them a very simple description with a simple checklist, and that's it. I've told you all that I work roughly about an hour a day on my editing, on my agency and title, and that seems pretty crazy to believe. But it's gotten to the point now where we train these VAs so well that they understand our mannerisms, they understand how we work, and we don't have to do anything anymore. So how do we monitor them, how do we pay them, and how do we make sure that they're working at their utmost top productivity? So we use a software called Hubstaff, right up here. So Hubstaff is basically an extension with Trello that we use. We can use this desktop if you don't have to use a Trello, but we use it to monitor all of the VA's tasks. So if you kind of scroll down here, it's kind of your basic time tracking software. It will like check something every like 10 minutes, give them a percentage. The VAs are very well aware of this. Basically, we say where say you're allowed to be in Premiere, Google Chrome, and sometimes they'll need to be in Photoshop for a certain graphic. These 3 programs are allowed. If you step out of these programs, your percentage of work is going to be deducted. We tell VAs anytime they're anything less than 60% worked, they will not get paid for that time period. This keeps them really efficient. They know how long their time percentage works, and you can see that at most of the times they always meet over 80%.
And can you set Hubstaff so that it automatically won't pay them for any time below 60%?
Yes.
You can choose the percentage.
Yes. This is actually an older Hubstaff account. We only have one VA on this one. This is actually when I was first training VA. I have a new one, but I couldn't remember the login before we set this up. So, but you can still get an idea of how it works. If you go to the top here. Oh shit. Alright, let's go back over here real quick. So what you can do is, once you have this all set up, let's go, I'm gonna pull something up real quick. Let me show you what the introductory Trello phase looked like when we were working with Dale. So if you go back over here, and we go here to YouTube, oh, Team 2. We would have it where we would drop a video in, just like this. We'd set up a tab. Attached to the tab, we would have the Google Drive link with all of the necessary footage, the raw footage setup, and the final footage. All we had to do was attach the member. You can see Dale right here. And we would leave it at that. Dale will get an email notification via Zapier that he has a file ready to go in the editing, in the incoming tab. Once he gets ready to edit it, it drags over, and the clock starts in Trello. If you look at the bottom here on the activity,
So dragging and dropping that over there automatically tells Hubstaff to
automatically
start time.
Hubstaff starts the time. And so whilst he's editing it, Hubstaff's going to go ahead and start the process off. It's going to start tracking his time. His time doesn't begin until the videos are done being downloaded. I'm not going to wait for his internet to catch with me. By the time that it's done, once it gets to the editing tab, although it's not showing here entirely, but it will show in Hubstaff. I guess it's the new Trello update. When it gets to the done section, I get a notification and it says your video is now ready to be uploaded, or is now ready to be viewed. It's in Google Drive as the final, and Hubstaff cuts off the time. At the end of the week, Hubstaff knows that this is the time period that they're allowed to work, and will pay him via PayPal automatically, so I don't even have to do that.
Cool. Wow. This is like pretty tech heavy. This is awesome.
You guys have any questions so far?
Man, this is amazing.
So.
What's the stupid simple version of all this?
That's actually the question I was going to ask. Like, can I ask a similar question just so I can answer?
Is it going to be what's the stupid simple version of this?
Well, it's just if I want to hire a VA to do just cold outreach or just welcome people into my Facebook group, something really simple.
Dude, you don't have to get.
Same question.
So what I would do is I would never skip the forms. Because what's going to happen is, again, if you say, I'm just looking for a Facebook moderator, right? And you don't have, like, for us now, we have 11 VAs, and we're starting to branch them out because we already know they're good. But when you're vetting new VAs, there's maybe 10% of people on that site are going to want to work for you and are going to be efficient and productive VAs like Dale is. The rest of them are all just trash, complete garbage, and they're going to waste your time. So I highly suggest setting up the Google form is a process that at most is going to be an extra day or two in your hiring steps. but it's going to make that much of a difference. I would never hire a new VA without it. You don't have to get all intense with the Trello and everything else if you want to keep it simple. I know I kind of made it a little bit more complicated with all the different integrations, but overall this system probably took a day to set up. If I sat down and made a video tutorial on how to set it up and everything, I could probably teach this in about an hour. Mini module. Yeah.
There you go.
And you can see it here where our group moderator VA. Let's see if she's here.
It's fucking cool, right? Yeah. You take the $197 you just made and give it to Becker, and then it'll be good.
Can't find on there, but we'll have it where what we'll do is they have there's a separate button that you can set up with Hub Staff. So when a VA goes ahead and hops on the project, we'll do it where we'll have this tab will be inactive and this tab will be active, right? So if I'm the VA and I'm coming on to welcome the new members and do some group sorting, I would just drag it out of the inactive and put it in the active section, and then when I'm done for the day, I'll go back to the inactive section.
So that's their login in and login out.
That's their login and out. And it's really simple. All they have to do is drag the card here and drag the card there. You'll get a text message at the end of it saying, hey, Danielle just worked seven hours. Here's the video clips of what she did. Here was her total work percentage. She'll get paid X depending on when you want to pay her.
So how does this apply to things other than like YouTube editing?
So what we did was originally I made this system for YouTube editing, and then I realized I did VAs way better than most people do.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, I wonder what else I could do. And I really started hating, after I was done not editing anymore, I had a lot more free time. But then I filled that time with agency work, and I was like, man, I don't want to do agency work either. This is just terrible.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wonder if I could just do it, where I could just train a bunch of VAs to do like everything. So we started expanding. Eventually, after we got one video editor, we ended up expanding to 4 video editors. We got a graphic designer. We got a manager in total. But here's the thing that we did a little bit different. So what we started doing was we started hiring people to just go to school under us. And this part's going to be a little weird and most likely probably not the best thing to live stream. But what we did was we had it where, okay, we would buy a course and we would say, this is the same amount. Yeah. You might want to stop that part.
Yeah.